Okay, we are live. Hello, everybody. My name is Tina Hogan Grant. I am an author of 5 books. I do my Cuppa and a Natter every 2 weeks on a Monday. And I like to call it that because I am British. So I like to keep a little bit of the British in me. But I do a live chat. I invite authors to come into my home. And we talk about whatever comes to mind. We talk about our books. We talk about life. We talk about our writing. So if you can see me, please say hello. I see Janet is here. And tonight I am joined by JoAnne Elizabeth Stevelos. How are you doing, JoAnne?
Hi, thank you for having me. Hi, everyone.
Hi, I'm glad you're here. I love doing these every other Monday. We're going to be talking about your books. But before we get into that, can you give us a little background of where you're from, about what you do other than writing? Just give us a little background on JoAnne.
Thank you. Yes. So I'm JoAnne, and I live in upstate New York, actually. I live in Albany, New York. And I'm about 3 hours ahead of all of you in California right now. So I'm having my nighttime tea.
And I've got mine.
I'm also a tea drinker. Yep, I'm also a tea drinker. And I'm a public health advisor who loves to write. And so I have been writing since I was a child. I actually, several years ago, I found one of the very first plays I wrote when I was a little girl. And I typically like to write plays, but I've written a novel, and I've been part of the New York State Writers Institute group several years in a row. And there I've been writing some poetry and some short fiction. So I like all the genres. And yeah, so I don't actually feel like my poetry is that great, but I really enjoy it, and I enjoy being in the work groups.
I've never even attempted to write poetry. So my hat's off to you, because from what I understand, it's really difficult. I mean, I have a hard time writing a blurb for a book. You know, you have to take 80,000 manuscript and condense it into 250 words. To write poetry is even harder than that. So my hat's off to you. But I do want to say hello to a few people here. Sarah Wente is here. She's saying good evening. If you click on comments too, you can see who is joining us on your screen. I meant to tell you that. There you go.
Oh, there they are. Okay, wonderful.
Michelle is here. Michelle and Welt, hello from Idaho. I like to say hello to our guests. Raina is here. Era Lee is here. They're all saying hello. Teresa Moye, hello and good evening from Oregon. So we're reaching everybody across the states. Now, the book I put on the graphics, that is the poetry book. That one is Dream Alibi. That's the one that's on the graphic for the chat. Can you hold that up? And let's take a look.
Yeah, this is Dream Alibis. Oops.
Mm-hmm.
Better?
And you were telling me, there we go. You were telling me a little bit about the cover.
Yeah, this is my son. My son is a filmmaker and photographer, and he had gone to Italy to help friends build a yurt. And he took this picture, and it was super, I don't know the right terms, but it's double exposed maybe.
With the light, yeah.
I've always loved this, and he let me use it. And then my friend Ryder Cooley is a musician, a very good artist as well. Mm-hmm. And he actually did a lot of the drawings that are inside the book.
Now, did the poem have its own drawing? Is there a drawing for every poem?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was really a nice, and then on some of them, she just did some little drawings for the smaller poems. But she read the work and then did the drawings, and it just made the whole process really special and really.
I love it. Now, Where do you get your ideas for your poems? Are they based on your personal experiences? Do they just pop into your head and you have to write a poem? How does that process work?
No. I guess
I have no idea about poetry. See?
it's changed over the years, really. I mean, I had a family that I, was working and going to school, and a lot of my earlier work was literally written on, little sticky pads that I would stick into other notebooks and just little ideas. And when, we became empty nesters and I had more time to write, I went back to a lot of old sticky notes and little pieces of paper that I had saved over the years and kind of put some of those ideas into the poem. And that was my original way I was writing poems. And then it seems like this last workshop that I did that started in March, I was writing a lot more personal poems that were like relevant to me right then and there. And of course we had COVID. So I had, and everyone tried not to write a COVID poem, but we all did. But I was more responsive. And I wrote a poem. I wrote a poem for one of my girlfriends, which her name is Violet Moss. So we're trying to get that published now. I sent it to a few literary journals.
But I would be lucky for that.
Yeah, it was just I don't know. Your process changes, I think, as you join different groups or learn from different writers. And I very rarely write things down on little pieces of paper now, like I used to. I sit down and I can't have enough time to actually get through a whole piece of something. So
now, how many poems are in the book?
I think there's about, let's see, it looks like there's about 10 in the book. And then I also had taken a course with Lydia Davis, who is one of my favorite writers. She's more short story. And during her class, I wrote a flash fiction piece, which was really challenging. I'd never done that before. So it's really just one paragraph that tells a whole story. That was hard.
You would be good at writing blurbs. You would be good at writing book descriptions. You can do that. You could probably do book descriptions. Because I find
I love doing that.
I have a book coming out in January, the reunions. So of course I'm going through my mind that I need to write the description for the book, and I just hate it. It's one part of the book process that just gets me all, I'm going to say, wound up, because how can I condense this book into 250 words? So that's what I'm dealing with right now. It's getting the blurb ready for the book. And it's a challenge. For me, it is a challenge. I have no problem writing the book, but now you want me to condense it and make it, appealing, that people want to buy the book and draw them in, that a blurb is supposed to do. But with your poems, do you have a favorite in the book? And the reason I'm asking is I'm going to put you on the spot and see if you want to read one.
Oh, yes, I would. There is one that I like.
Prior, but I thought, it'd be nice to hear one, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, this one, I have two short ones actually. And,
okay.
And one that I really like, it's really about when I was a child and just waiting. You have that feeling when you're waiting for a friend and you're just like waiting for them to like finish their chores or do something.
Get over here so we can play.
Yeah. And this one was this one friend that I had as a child, they moved away, and this poem I think kind of makes me think about that. It's called Most Days. And it's come as a child to me, come climb the willow where I built my fort to wait for you. Most days I miss you, most days I do.
I like that. It's short, sweet, and straight to the point.
Yeah, it's kind of speaking to that longing feeling that you have for someone when they're gone, and you feel like they still know what you're thinking in some ways.
Right. Connection.
That connection, that intimacy. And then this one is, I think everyone does this sometime in their life where you just kind of sit around and look through your old photos.
Oh yeah. I miss picking up a photo album and just browsing through it. I mean, I have cupboards full of them. And at Christmas time, that's the time when the albums come out, and we actually sit around and we look at the albums.
It's my favorite thing to do, and I've kept, even with my son, I've kept like his old writing. And I've made writing albums, so it's fun to read those little notes that he
that's
wrote
a good idea.
Little boy, you know.
I never thought about doing that. That's a great idea.
Yeah. So this one is called Bells, and it's about that. It's that. The deluge of winter rain keeps me inside, sifting through old photos, looking for that one of you and me, heads together, eyes alert to the lens that captures our two grins as wide as the bells ringing inside me whenever you come near. Bells ringing so loud that I will never believe you can't hear them too.
Oh, wow.
Again,
that's great. I like that one.
Thank you.
Great. How long does it normally take you to write a poem? I mean, do you have an outline, and is it a process where you write a line, erase a line, write a line, erase a line, or do they just kind of come naturally?
Well, it's a lot of editing, just as a book, and I don't know if you've taken some of your novels sometimes and then, you know, had people read them, or been in a group where you read chapters and then people kind of react to them. I've been in workshops where every poem in here has been workshopped, so people have edited it. And then I also had a poetry editor actually edited the poems as well before I wrote them. Yeah, she was really interesting. Her name is Aiden Thomas, and she teaches poetry. She's a wonderful poet herself, but she also is a Buddhist, and she teaches meditation and writing. And so she came to the work, I think, with that kind of like a meditative quality, bringing it to it, and even the visuals of where things were placed and where punctuation was placed. I think she was kind of bringing her craft into that. So when I say this book was a collaboration, it really was. There was a lot of people involved in it.
You'll be writing another book of poems?
I might. I've been thinking about doing another chapbook, because from this last workshop I did with the New York State Writers Institute, I have about 8 poems. And then I think I mentioned to you that in the back of the book is a play called Little Red Wagon. And the play was a 1-act in here, but since then I've made it into a 3-act. So I was thinking I would do a Dream Alibis 2 and put the whole play in, and then the new poems as well. And then some journal pieces, because I'm sure everybody, with everything that's happened in 2020, there's a lot to process.
Yeah, that could be one heck of a play too.
Yeah. Well, the play is about a woman who dies by suicide, and her family is left with this letter, and she has a daughter, and the daughter has to wait until she's 21 to read the letter. And so her mother had passed when she was a little girl, like 3 or 4. And so her grandfather and her father kind of like never really dealt with the grief. And it becomes her birthday, the day before her birthday. And she's like, I want my letter. And then the family has to kind of come back together, and like, how do we give her this letter, you know, and how do we give her the letter? And
well, that's pretty heavy.
And then one of the questions that came up with one of the characters says, you know, to the husband and to the grandfather, did you read the letter? And they had not read the letter either. And so it just is like this family that's in suspended grief, and they're trying to figure out what to do. Everyone thinks it's going to be a sad play, but all the crying's been done in the play, and there's a lot of comical moments as well. And there's a little side love story between the father and a waitress, because they own a cafe. And then the daughter sassy. So,
Oh, how long are I mean, if they were to be acted out, how long would the play be?
well, the play we've done it. We've had it performed as a radio play, so it's been performed on the radio. It's about an hour, and
Okay.
then we have a university club here, and I think we had about around 100 people came to see the play. We did a
That's
stage
great.
reading of it.
That's
Yeah.
great. Now, do you ever act in your own plays? No.
No, this is as much as I can do. It's like these interviews.
Let me say hello to some more people. Teresa is here. She says hi. She's from Oregon. You can see these two. I like to scroll down and just. Now I'm seeing some of them. It says Facebook user. That means they haven't clicked on the blue link at the top to let StreamYard, who broadcasts my videos, access to their profile. So if you see the blue link, you can click on that and get permission from StreamYard to show me your name. That's the reason why I cannot see your name. Master is here. She says, good morning. So Master, well, you must be far away. Yeah. Good morning. Might be Australia. Where are you from, Master?
I'm from New
Zealand. Let's see. Let me see who else is here. We're going to talk about your next book. You can hold up the cover one more time. This is her poem that we've just been talking about. Nice. And the picture on the cover is her son. How old is your son?
He is, I should know this, but he's 33, I think.
That's okay, because my son is 34, and I have to ask him every year, how old are you now?
1987. I think it's 33. Yeah, he's 33.
I ask my kid every year, how old are you? And I wish he'd stop growing, because it's like, come on, stop. Michelle says, my sister took after our mother, writing poetry, curious as to your book of poems. Raina says, talented family, you're an author, and your son a wonderful photographer. Is that his profession? Is he a professional photographer, or is it a hobby?
No, he's a professional photographer and filmmaker.
Oh, and a filmmaker too.
Yes,
Does he have anything to do with the plays? Does he help you with the plays or anything like that?
He did. In the play, I have a very good friend, JoAnne Palladino, who's an actor and a director. So she directed it. My son was in the play as the narrator, and his partner, Lauren Glover, was Lucy, one of the characters. And then my very good friend, who's a professor of literature at St. Rose College here in our town, Ron Shavers, he was the dad. And then a wonderful actor, Gary Maggio, was the grandfather.
Wow.
So it was really like, and then my husband and his bandmates, because my husband is a professional musician, we had live music during the play. So the band was on stage too. So
on tour
there.
Go on tour and come to California. It sounds great.
Yeah. So everybody loved it. So I was really inspired to write. Everybody wanted to know what happened. The main character's name is Lucy, and everyone wanted to know what happened to her. So I had to keep going with it. I was happy to leave it as a one act, but everyone was like, no.
Write plays. We're going to talk about your novel in a little bit. Do you have a favorite over any other writing? Do you have a favorite of novel, poetry, or play? Do you have a favorite one to write? Which do you prefer?
Of my work?
No, in general. Do you prefer to write poetry or plays?
I love plays. That's my favorite. Yeah. That's hard to make a living, writing plays. Like I think you have to be born into a famous family or something.
You have to know those characters inside out, get in their head. Mm-hmm. You do in a book too, but I think it's deeper when you come to a play, because they have to act the character you're writing. Yes. When we read a book, we can kind of decipher some of the things about the character that we want it to be. But when you write a play, you have to have actors, create what you created. And I think it goes a lot deeper with a play.
And it's also, for me, and JoAnne Palladino was very gracious to me because oftentimes they don't let the playwright come to rehearsals, or you give up your work and you say, go, take it. And I went to everything and kind of was doing some editing during the process, which they had a little patience with. But it was hard to like sit there in the audience and watch your work being performed and then feel what people were feeling. It was really amazing, but stressful.
Oh, I can imagine. Yeah. I mean, that's your work that, that they're portraying. But to me, that's pretty heavy. I mean,
Yeah.
I haven't done it yet, but I eventually would like to put my books on audio. And I don't think it's quite as in depth as a play, but when I get the book back and I hear it on audio, it's going to be a strange feeling because it's words I've written. And I'm hoping that when it happens, it's beginning to be the first one, but I'm hoping when it eventually happens, that the narrator gets it right and picks up on the feelings of the characters that I've written. So I understand where you're coming from with a play. You're sitting there and you're watching your work being acted out. And it's going to be the same thing when I get, a narrator for audiobooks. So they have to capture the emotion of that character, chapter, event, what's going on. So I can see that being nerve-wracking.
And has that happened to you, Tina? Like when you've been, like I've done audiobooks, downloaded them, like the sample, and then it's I don't like the sound of the reading. I'll go back to the paper book.
Yeah,
like I won't.
A couple of books. I'm not going to mention them, but there's been a couple where the narrator's voice, I'm going to say, was too flat. It was just a continual flat line. And you could tell, from the words she's reading, that she's supposed to raise her voice here or, speak with a sharp tone. But it was just, and I couldn't grasp the emotion of the book. So unfortunately, I didn't finish it. And that doesn't happen too often. But when I find my mind wandering, when I'm supposed to be listening, then I know that the narration is not good. Yeah. So, I've experienced that.
I do think it speaks to how hard it is to do that. Is really what I was making the point is like, and when you hear someone who does it really well, it's very impressive.
Yeah, very impressive. And many years ago, I thought, is that cool? Is that cool to be a narrator for audiobooks to make a living? But it's not that easy. If you think about it, it's not that easy. And of course, you got to have a great voice. I got this stupid accent that people understand plenty what I'm saying. So
I love your accent.
I thought it'd be kind of fun to do. I want to see what else people are saying. If you have any questions too for JoAnne, please feel free to ask. We are going to be talking about her book in a few minutes. I just scrolled down too quick. There's a comment there I wanted to read. Where did it go? Oh, I'm sorry. Come back. Where'd it go? Oh, here, I'm going to put it up on the screen, this one. So I have written poetry to Closet to publish is online. Oh, an online contest. Have you done contests too? Have you done poetry contests? And Erin, you should publish your poetry. Just put it out there. Have you done contests for poetry, JoAnne?
I haven't. I don't have the. I think I just rather just put it out there. And I'm not a very competitive person, I think. So I haven't done that, though I do think it could be fun. I mean, I think I would want to try it. I do submit to, I guess it's almost the same. It's not really a contest, but I do submit to some journals. And when you get those rejection notices, they kind of sting.
It does knock you down a peg or two. Keep putting it out there and you just keep trying. I mean, our work is not for everybody. Some people are going to love our work and some people are going to hate it. And we just have to accept that we can't please everyone. And, that's all we can do. Leisha Haney says, albums are a lot of fun. This is going back to the photo albums. My oldest is now 42 and our son is 40. And I have an album for each of them from preschool to their senior high school years. And I have old school papers of theirs. I remember when my son turned, I think 20, maybe a little bit younger, but I had kept from preschool every single painting that he had done. And in preschool, well, since you paint a lot of stuff in school.
Yeah.
Every single one of them. A few I still had that were my favorites, but when he moved out of the house, I said, here, these are yours. And he goes, what's this? He couldn't believe that I had kept all of these pictures. And he had a blast, going through them. Oh, I remember this. And we did. We sat for a long time talking about it. And now he has 2 boys of his own. He does the same thing. Yeah. He likes their painting, but he's also showing them his.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, so I think it's great. And there's some, stories that he did when he was younger that I saved. So I had like 2 totes, and I was kind of, leery about giving them to him. But I'm like, you know what? He has kids now. It's time to show them to them.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I love that.
I do. I love it. So, but I think we should. Someone says, I love your accent, Tina. I don't really hear my accent that much unless I hear it on a phone or a tape recorder. And I'll be like, who's that? I've been here 30 years, so I don't feel like I have a strong British accent. But people do ask, where are you from? So it's there, but I just don't pay attention to it as much as I did. But I do hear it if it's recorded. And I tell myself, no one's going to understand a word I'm saying if I try and narrate a book. It's not going to happen. Early says, do you handwrite when working poetry? Let me put it up here. Do you handwrite when working poetry or type as you go?
That's a great question. I handwrite everything. And then when I type it in, I'm editing. Because I like to write, like a lot of the poems that I wrote or put together, I like grabbing a book and being outside, or sometimes I write on the train. So I don't want to be confined to the computer, but so I'm just the old-fashioned
notepad. I have the me too. And when I do read, I have a notepad right next to me for little notes on the book. You're like me.
Yeah. And then the editing, the typing happens in that process. And then sometimes actually, if a scene's really bothering me, I'll go back and handwrite it again and try to shift it on a line paper. And then I do a lot of reading the words aloud.
Oh, you read aloud?
Yeah.
Oh, when you're on your writing. Yeah, I do too. When I do a first read where I read it to myself, and then I go back and then I read it out loud, the whole book, and then I was like, damn it, now I got to do some more, right? Because it's amazing what you pick up when you read out loud.
Yeah.
Because I think when you read it to yourself, you kind of just read it how you want it to sound. But when you actually read it out loud, you pick up on past and present tense, which is a big flaw of mine. I go back and forth. My editor always says, what are you writing? Present tense, third person? Because I just jump all over the place. Yeah. So when you read out loud, you actually pick up where you're going back and forth. I mean, I still miss it here and there, but it does help in that sense. Yeah, you can miss a lot. Let me see. Jennifer's just joined us, Jennifer Bowser. She says, here we go.
Oh, hi, Jennifer.
I think we just talked about this. Do you have a favorite poem that you have written? We did mention the one from, I think you read it out, didn't you?
Yeah.
What's the name of that poem again? I'm sorry.
That was called Most Days. That's one of my favorite.
Most Days.
Yeah.
And someone wrote, your editor loves you. That must be my editor. Because she doesn't say Facebook user. She hasn't clicked on the blue link. I can't tell who you are. This is the first night I'm going live on YouTube. So I am, reaching out to more people, hopefully. But before I was just broadcasting on my author page. But now I have a YouTube channel. So I'm going to be broadcasting on there every time. And the link will always be there for you to share, or anyone to share for that matter. And it's also going to be in my author group. And then once we have finished with our chat, the link will be posted on my website. So we are getting out there. But let's go on and talk about your book. You wrote a novel. And that one is called, if I have you hold it up,
Hallowed Be Thy Name.
Hallowed Be Thy Name. Now, when did this book come out?
This came out both of them came out at the same time. They came out 3 years ago.
Okay.
Um,
Hold it up again. Let me see the cover.
Oh, sorry.
Hold it up. There we go.
There.
Hallowed Be Thy Name. Okay, that came out about 3 years ago. And now, is it fiction?
It's fiction, and it's a fiction story that's based on my true story.
Okay.
And everybody who, it's funny when you're saying like, when I know someone is reading the book, like a lot of like friends and families and neighbors have read it. If they say, "Oh, I'm reading your book right now," then I start reading it at the same time because I'm like wondering like what they're thinking when they're reading.
Yeah, you want to see what part. If they say they're on chapter 22, you go to chapter 22.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, but I don't do that as much anymore. But when I first came out, I would do that a lot.
I'm guilty of doing that too. I have done that too. My editor, will say, "Oh, I've just read the prologue. Or I've just read chapter 5. Okay, now where's she at in the book? What part is she at again? Can you tell us a little bit about the book without giving too much away?
Yes. So the book is actually I really feel, and it's taken me a long time to tell people what the book's about. As you were saying, like writing blurbs or trying to condense it down into a little story.
Right.
But what I've really come to understand this work is about is it's really an immigration story. It's about an Albanian family. My grandparents were from Albania, Anastasia and George, and my Welsh grandparents, William and Dorothy. And they were first generation. Both grandparents worked on the railroad. They both came here with the American dream and had children, and were really surprised when, and I think it's also generational, right? When an Albanian married a Welsh person, a Catholic married a Greek Orthodox. These were considered mixed marriages in this setting.
Mm-hmm.
And even though we're in America, you still bring those values with you. And so this story kind of opens up with really the story of my parents meeting, and it gives a whole background of my grandparents, where they were from. My grandparents were from Korç, Albania, and my grandparents, I don't know where my Welsh grandparents were from, so I made it up. That's what I'm saying, like yeah, so that's what I'm saying. It's based on my true story and my family story, but a lot of it is like a lot of history. I'm a researcher, so I just did a lot of research on Albania and all the customs, and I was a little girl when a lot of these events happened, so it was really fun to go back and try to understand like some of the things that my Albanian grandparents were talking about. And I think it was really tough for them to, the Albanians have a very strong patriarchal tradition. So just like one little story in here would be when my Welsh grandparents go to have dinner at the Albanian grandparents, and the mother, the daughter, is pregnant, and so she's telling everybody, they've picked names out. And in Albania, the grandfather chooses the names of the grandchildren. So that just little things that happen that I wasn't there for, but it was, it was fun to research and make up a little story.
That's fun looking back onto your, your family history and
exactly.
finding all this stuff. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Now the book. I'm sorry.
Oh, I was going to just finish telling you this rest of the story. So the daughter of the Welsh parents, her name is Evie, and the son of the Albanian is Alec, and they are only 17 years old when they get married and have their first child. And which seems young now, but back then that wasn't young. That was a lot of people did that. My grandmother was married when she was 16. My other Welsh grandmother was married when she was 15. So we have like these very young marriages as well in the family. Yeah. And so Alec and Evie end up divorced, and Evie starts being pursued by the parish priest from the Catholic Church. So kind of a story, a romance story there. And you get to know a lot about Howard, is the priest's name, and how he falls, basically, how he falls in love and starts pursuing this person when he's confused, because he's a new young priest, first time in the new parish, and here's this beautiful Welsh woman, and he was divorced and kind of a damsel in distress, and he starts to pursue her, and he's confused and he doesn't understand what's happening. And then the story kind of is a lot about him trying to understand like why he's fallen in love and why he's can't stay true to his vows. And then he ends up, and Evie's not a really nice person in this book either. She's a little manipulative. She lies a lot. She lies a lot.
Okay.
Tells a lot of half truths, you know. Right. And so he kind of falls for some of this as well. She's a bit of a flirt. So he ends up buying a house. He wants to help her. She has 4 children, and so he buys a house. And the book ends with him moving the children into the house. And so it's the first book of a trilogy. So right now I'm working on the book of which is the next book.
There's going to be more. So it's going to be a trilogy. When do you think? I have to apologize to my Jack Russell. Can you hear her?
Yeah, it doesn't bother me because I love dogs.
Miss Ellie. She's an honorary Jack Russell. I know a few of you have met her because sometimes she'll be here out. But she's been in an honorary mood, so I put her in the bedroom. That probably wasn't a good idea because she's not liking it. But she's there now. But anyway, so I apologize for her in the background. I'm hoping she settles down, but she's a Jack Russell. So, but your book sounds fantastic. I had to just apologize for Ellie. Now, you said it's going to be a trilogy, so you're working on book 2. Do you have a deadline of when that one's going to be published?
2 years ago.
You sound like me. Okay.
And so hopefully I have 7 chapters done.
Okay, you're getting that.
I'm hoping to finish it this winter. You know, it gets there's not much to do here in the Northeast once it gets cold. So I get a lot of more of my writing done in the winter.
This comes up a lot with my chats. Are you a pranster, or do you like plot the whole book, write it all down, know where it's going, or do you just sit down and begin to write and see what happens?
Yeah, I like to see what happens and see what stories come. And like I said, I do a lot of research too. So I'm researching writing, and I just want to ask Michelle, who said her mom's name was Dorothy. Did she go by Dot? That's what my grandmother went by Dot.
Okay, I'm looking for the comment, but
it's Michelle. She said my mom's name.
Right, this one right here.
Yeah.
Her name was Dorothy. Oh, she wants to know, Michelle. Is it Michelle? Yeah, Michelle. Did you call your mom Dot or Dottie? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, that's what we always called her, Grandma Dot.
Oh, I like that. Grandma Dot. Grandma Dot. Michelle, wait, and your book sounds intriguing. I am going to read the description in a few minutes. Arthur Crystal. That's my editor, Arthur Crystal. She was the one that, it is her. She says, good for you. I'm a planner. I'm a planner. Bambi is here. Hey, Bambi. I'm glad you are joining us. Let's see who else is here. Raina has to run. We'll talk to you soon, Raina. Let's see. Hold on. I'm just scrolling up and down. See who else is here.
Oh yeah, so Dot and Dottie. You had a Dot and Dottie too.
Dot and Dottie. I guess that's a common nickname for Dorothy. I didn't know that. I know a couple of Dorothys, but I never thought of calling them Dot or Dottie. So I like that. All right, I am going to. Oh, wait a minute. Let me try and get rid of this comment here. It's gone. No, where'd it go? I got to click on it. There it is. Okay. Okay, I'm going to read the description of the book. Now, the book is on Amazon. In fact, both the poems and the book is on Amazon. Is it on Kindle or Kindle Unlimited or?
All of them. Yep, Kindle. It's on Nook, Kindle, Kindle Unlimited. I had an article come out in Marie Claire, the fashion magazine, about my book. A little was last week, and since then I've seen a lot of people are reading it on the Kindle Unlimited right now.
Oh, so, okay. All right, now I had your book on my phone ready to read the description, and of course, technology being as it is, decides to make it go away. While I'm
you want me to read it? I can read one.
Sure. Well, I was going to read the description on the back of Hallowed Be Thy Name. Do you want to read it?
Oh, okay. I have another description too. That's
whatever.
This one tells it a little bit better than this one.
Okay. Well, it's your book. You read whatever you want to read.
So it's, Alex and Evie Corley are getting divorced. As first-generation Americans with 4 children, their family life is difficult. However, the situation becomes more complicated when a newly ordained handsome priest, Howard Russo, moves into the neighborhood parish. Howard, surprised by his feelings for Evie, begins to lure her into an affair. Soon, the unusual triangle begins to unravel. Howard and Evie secretly move in together, and her 4 children see up close Howard's worst traits that drive him to unspeakable acts. Evie has a heartbreaking revelation about Howard that forces her to decide between him and her husband and children. When Evie's secret is finally out, none of their lives will ever be the same.
Wow, that's intriguing. And did you write that? You wrote the description?
Yeah.
Very good. I might be hitting you up for a description.
Well, I wish I had thought of it when I published it.
You're self-published, right?
Yeah.
Well, you can go onto KDP and change it. You can just go in there and change it. You can change whatever you want.
I'm nervous to do that because it seems like it will make it like once you get it up there, it makes me feel like something will happen.
Yeah, and it doesn't hurt the book or anything like that, but you can. Now, Alicia's asking, do you have it in paperback to buy?
Yes.
It is, okay. So like if you went in and changed the description, you can do it for both copies, and then from the day that you changed it, your new, because it's usually print on demand anyway, so the new books would automatically have the new description.
I had someone help me do it, so maybe if I can get them to help me.
Yeah. It's pretty much a matter of just copy and paste. That's all you got to do.
All right. It always seemed like when I went to upload, it just kept giving me all these terrible error messages, and I just got very changed.
Okay. But I think, well, yeah, I can see why you're a little nervous if you get the error messages, but now that it's up there, it should be okay.
Okay.
It should be okay. But that sounds really good. But so it is available in paperback on Amazon. Is it available anywhere else or just Amazon?
Just Amazon and Barnes and Noble.
Okay.
Very and
good.
Then you can always write to me like on Facebook, and I've mailed people signed copies. And I love putting together little packages. Like I have these little special like note cards and things. I like to put together.
I do that too.
A little box of goodies come if you order one from me.
I love it. That's great, especially the holidays coming up.
Yeah.
And I've been telling people that I have to sign books, and Amazon is so unreliable because of COVID. The shipping is, I hear, just disastrous right now. But we have books on hand that we can sign and deliver before Christmas, right?
That's great.
Bambi is here. Denise is here. She says hello. Do you know Denise Burt? She's here. And Bambi says, I am so not techie, and I'd be nervous too. Yeah, it's all a learning process. And when we write our stories, we write our plays, that's what we really want to do is write. But then we have to, reach the readers, which is why we're here tonight. We're talking about our books, talking about your books, but it's also a learning curve on marketing, and it's not just about writing anymore. It's about, reaching out, finding ways for people to hear about your books. And I mean, especially when you self-publish, which I do too, you have to have a whole slew of what's what I'm thinking of, tasks that you need to do. Not just write the book, but promote it and sell it. Just the groups that we're in, the videos that we do. It's not just about writing. It's not easy.
No, it's not. But it's fun. I love doing these types of things. This is fun for me. And I think that I've learned a lot about marketing, but I was also, because I'm a fundraiser through my consulting company, so I was able to like writing proposals and things like that, reaching out to journalists, trying to get them to, see me as somebody who could talk about some of these issues that I bring up in the book or in my writing, which is grief and, emotional abuse, divorce, estranged families, some tough topics. But I think sometimes stories have a way, if you can connect with one of the characters. A lot of people really empowered. A lot of women connect with Susan, the little girl Susan in the book. She's a tough cookie. She's smart.
Sounds like it. And in fact, there is a question here. I can find it about your character. Let me see. Here we go. Sherry Brown. She asked this question. How do you pick the names of your characters?
Yeah.
And you said Susie. So how did Susie come about?
I picked them because of the era that the book is written is the 1960s and 70s. So I just went to like the popular names at that point.
There you go.
And so that's and then one name I picked. I love the name Michael, so that and it ended up being on the list as a popular name for that era as well.
Perfect.
It's one of my favorite names. So.
Yeah, and it's strange. Some people think that there's not much thought that goes into a character's names, but there really is. Like you said, it's the era of when the book is written. You have to kind of figure out, what was a popular name. Yeah. Some people don't realize the thought that I'm like, Jack Russell is about to go out the window in a minute.
Yeah.
Oh Lord. Okay, Sherry Brown. Question right here. If you could be a character in your book for a day, who would you pick?
Oh, I would be Lucy in my play Little Red Wagon. She has a good time.
Yeah?
Yeah. She's had a lot, her mom died, so that's not a good time, obviously, but she lives her life pretty interesting, and she is really engaged with everything that's happening in the world, and she's brave, which I'm more comfortable at home.
There you go. Yeah. Can you believe that it's almost up on the hour? We have like 10 minutes. It goes by so quick. But I want to, get some of these questions in. Here's one from Bambi, and then we're going to talk about the giveaway. Bambi, what's the most surprising thing you discovered about being an author? That's a good question.
Yeah, I think the most surprising thing, and I think Tina was talking about it, how much marketing you have to do. It's a lot. It's a lot. And I think the other thing is that you really have to believe in your story. And stand by your work a lot. I think that the story of immigration and of the Catholic Church and some of the crisis that they've been in is a story that affects a lot of people in a lot of different ways. And it's not just Catholics. Things happen in every organized institution, and kind of finding a way to write about it. For me, it was really important not to put in a lot of details of abuse, but
Yeah.
I don't want to re-traumatize people. I don't want to, I want to be honest, but I want to help people find a way to tell their own story, because that can be healing, or if they find some healing through the story of Jo Beth, the little girl in this book who gets harmed. And I think one of the things that people say a lot about Hallowed Be Thy Name is they're conflicted because they feel compassion for everybody. There's no good or bad people in this book. And that's reflective of me. I think that people make a lot of bad decisions in life, and that they can find redemption and they can find a path towards goodness. And I think that I don't think we're here to judge anybody. But a woman who read the book just the other day wrote to me. She says, I feel so bad for Howard, but I also don't like him. But then I feel bad for him. So that's I try to tap into people's, like, we're all human and people make mistakes, and like how do we get past that and heal?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so, but it's important to me because I know a lot of books that deal with sensitive topics around emotional abuse or sexual abuse or even suicide or self-harming. They go into a lot of detail, and those books can really, I think, bring people to a place that they weren't expecting to go. And
Right.
in a book. So I was really careful with this book. And I think a lot of people said the writing feels like not old fashioned, but a little, a very compassionate and formal. It's modeled after, the book is, my favorite writer is James Agee, Agee, and he wrote a book called A Death in the Family. It's like a Southern classic. And he approaches this death of the father in the book in just such a human, compassionate way, that even though, he probably didn't have to die the way he did, the character, he never judges him, and nobody in the book does. They just kind of try to look at what's happening and how they can help each other get through it. And I really used his book as a model for this book.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. I like that. There's a couple more questions I wanted to get up here. I like that one. My dog insists it's time to go out. You want to take my dog out too? Here's one from Jennifer. What was the hardest part about writing your book, and what was the easiest part?
The hardest part was then having all of my family read it, because they know it was based on a true story, and getting all the calls after saying that's not what happened, and me saying it's a composite. I'm trying to tell a story and it's fiction.
Mm-hmm.
So that was hard. And getting them to understand it was fiction, that it was part my research, part our family story, and part me wanting to tell a story. And as I mentioned just a minute ago, of being really inspired by James Agee's work, and being like, I'd love to write a book like that. Not that I could write a book as good as his, but it was something calling me to do that, and having him as a role model really helped me write this book, and using the tone that I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
I achieved the tone I wanted by reading his work, and I think his work really influenced this book a lot. So that was the hardest part. The easiest part was the writing. The writing is the fun part.
That's what I say now. I mean, before, when I first started my writing, the first book was tough. But then it's like, okay, now I'm going to market this thing. Now what do I do? But does anyone else in your family write? Your husband, your son? Does anyone else write?
My son, I think, is a wonderful writer. He doesn't write as much as he should, but he is a very good writer. My husband is my editor, one of my first editors.
Oh, okay.
And my mother-in-law, I have a piece called No Syrup, Just Butter, which is about me. It's a personal essay that was edited by my mother-in-law, who's a very accomplished writer, named Shirley Nelson. And she has a beautiful book out called The Last Year of the War that almost several people wanted to make it into a film. It's a beautiful, beautiful book. So her name is Shirley Nelson, and she edited a piece called No Syrup, Just Butter, which is about me reuniting with my father, and it turned out to be a disaster.
Oh no, I'm sorry.
Oh, that's all right. And so that piece is the piece of writing that is most read of mine.
Really?
That gets the most hits and gets some people write to me and say, this helped me. My dad, I haven't seen my dad, and my dad abandoned the family, and they'll write to me and share their story after they read that piece. And I think that's one of the questions was, why did I become a writer, or when did I want to be a writer? And it's when I realized how powerful stories are for healing and how we can help each other.
But that's how my book came about, Reckless Beginnings, my debut, and it was based on my experiences with a heroin addict and how it shows the flip side of addiction and how it affects the loved ones. And writing the book was a healing process for me.
Yes.
So I totally get it when we write, about our experiences and how we grow from them.
Yeah. I'm reading it right now, and it's very good. I love the tone in your book as well. It's just.
Oh, you're reading Reckless Beginnings?
Yes.
Oh, that's right. You told me that. Oh, that's right. I forgot. Oh,
yeah.
I got it. Thank you.
I think that's why I was excited to talk with you too, Tina, because I think we have a similar approach to like hard topics, which is, you're being factual and honest, but it's in a way that I think can help people.
Right. And and I wrote it, not to steal the show here, but I wrote it because I couldn't find any books about what I was going through, and I wanted to hear the voice of a woman that was going through exactly what I was going through. And that was where, I was being dictated by a heroin addict. And I wanted to know how they coped. But because I couldn't find it, and I said, okay, then I'm going to write and let other women know how I coped and grew from the situation. But it took me 25 years after that happened in my life. I was in my 20s when this happened, and the book gets published when I'm in my 50s. So it took a while to write it.
It takes us that long to process a lot of trauma like that and things.
It does,
and come out with something to say about it, right?
Yeah, and I'm sure you can relate. You're opening up a can of worms, and there's times when you're writing the book that there's things that you probably subconsciously wanted to forget and did, but then when you start writing about it again, all of a sudden it's opened up that can of worms, and I find myself, okay, I'm not ready to write this right now. I'll come back next week with a different approach. And that happened a few times, So.
Did you find like the way, like writing, also like writing Howard, it gave me a chance to take care of the kids in the book?
Oh yeah.
I got to like take care of them a little bit more than they were being taken care of, and that felt really nice. It was very cathartic.
I like that. I do. I could talk to you for another hour. This is so much fun, but it is getting to the top of the hour. But you are doing a giveaway, so I'm going to hand it over to you. This is what we're giving away. Howard be thy name.
Either one. I can give two giveaways today.
It's entirely up to you. This is your show. You want to do two? Okay, so we're going to do two. And normally we just, I let you pick whoever's been here tonight, go through the comments. I'm not going to put you on the spot, but you can either pick one tonight now. You can come back in an hour or two, or you can come back tomorrow.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you. I'd be so hard. It's a hard thing to do.
It is. It is. I mean, it's entirely up to you. If you want to come back like tomorrow morning or tonight in a couple hours and figure out who you want to know.
Yeah.
And now, if it's easier for you, you can message me with your winners, and I'll announce it on all the platforms for you, YouTube and my group. So just message me when you picked your 2 winners and what book they've won. Okay, but just
so
go.
The names will stay up here.
Oh yeah. Once it's done going live, you can just go back to the video, either wherever at YouTube, my author page, and just scroll down the comments and pick your winners, and then let me know. But like I said, I could talk to you for another hour. This is a lot of fun. I love meeting new authors, meeting new writers, and finding new books to read. I like this a lot. I really do. But you do. I want to put this up. I hope I spelled it right. But you do have a website, and I'm going to put that up for you right now. Just let me know if I spelled it wrong, which is right here, correct?
Right. Yep.
Yay! Okay, so that's your website, and people can go visit that, and they'll find your books. What else are they going to find on your website?
They'll find lots of articles. My research is in helping children be healthy weight. So there's lots of articles. There's also a lot of anti-bullying articles, helping children deal with bullying prevention, and some of my projects. I work in different places in the world, so you can see some of my work. Right now, I'm working with a group in New Zealand, so you can see some of that work there. And
great. Yeah. And I also tell the authors when we're done, go back into the comments and leave all your links. We know we can find you on Facebook. You have a website. Where else can we find you? Are you on Instagram?
Instagram, LinkedIn. I'm very active on LinkedIn.
Okay, yeah, in the comments when we're done, leave all your links so people know where to find you. Okay, but no, this has been a lot of fun. I've had, like I said, a good time. Hold on. I'm using this banner thing is new to me. So here we go. I just discovered that last week. So I like that a lot. And again, this is my Cuppa and Natter that I do every 2 weeks. I also have a website. You can find me at tinahogangrant.com. I will be posting this video on the website, and I'll send you the link when it goes up. So you can share it, from the website, from YouTube, from Facebook, with your readers. But this has been a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it, and we're going to do it again for sure.
Thank you so much. Yes, anytime. I love your group here. They're
great.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, they're great. But stay online for a few more minutes. And I want to thank everybody for joining us. As always, you guys are great. You ask fantastic questions, and we will talk to you soon. So good night, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.